This is Beyond Average, episode 12.
The one thing we have in this world is we can't control the events, but we can choose what to focus on, we can choose what things mean, and we can choose what to do.
And we're live. Boy, what's going on, man?
Anthony, what's going on, buddy? How are you?
Before we start, and this is a surprise to you too, I got to show you your Christmas present.
Oh, shit.
I got one for me too, so I'm going to show you mine because yours is still wrapped up. Corey will know what this is.
Looks. Oh, shit. The 10X planner.
I got Corey the 10X planner. This is from our boy Grant Cardone. And let me show you.
Thank you, man. It's pretty neat. I always see him talking about it. Always trying to sell it.
Success is my duty. And then it's got times for throughout the day. So you can keep your notes in chronological order. And then on the other side.
He always says.
So every day is like this. Every day has times. And then on the other side of the page, it's got different shit. It says write your goals, and you write them in the morning and the evening. Quote of the day, targets, successes. So it's all the shit he talks about, just, put into paper.
Yeah, and he always talks about you should never have a blank calendar. White on the calendar is bad. That's terrible. That's what he always talks about. If you got free time, that's not good.
Yeah, it's okay. I
But
mean, you can't really schedule things because there's no monthly view. It's just each day is its own page, and that's kind of it.
well, hey, that's the idea, right? You take it day by day, and
Yeah, but
Do we can.
no, it's a cool thing. So
I appreciate it. It's pretty neat.
it was back order. I didn't get it till last week. I wanted to tell Grant, what the hell, man? January's half over. But
Did you do you have your hat nearby or no?
yeah, it's in a closet actually. But you know what? I gotta get it though, because it's got a little cool thing on the back.
All right, go get it.
So we got the 10X hat, and then if you're standing behind me in the gym, you get this.
It says don't be a little bitch. For anybody listening on iTunes, it says 10X on the front, and on the back it says don't be a little bitch. It's a pretty sweet hat.
I wear it to the gym.
Do you? I would too. Has anybody ever said anything about it yet or no?
I've only worn it once, to be honest, so no, but whatever.
It's a cool hat, man. It draws attention.
10X.
Don't be a little bitch on the back. Yeah, not many
So
hats
what's up,
have it,
man?
but
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
yeah, Merry Christmas, everybody listening. Happy New Year, Happy Thanksgiving. Because I think the last show we put out was probably before Thanksgiving.
Shit. We got to step our game up on podcasts in 2016.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, it wasn't for any bad reason. It was just both our schedules have been kind of packed with stuff, and it's that's a good thing though. So it's not, but we still have to make time and actually get some guests on here for the new year.
That's the plan.
So actually, we didn't even talk about what we're going to talk about today. We have no game plan going into this. It's kind of just we're jumping on and starting to talk for about 20 minutes.
Speaking of Grant, I was listening to his podcast yesterday, and he was talking about getting attention. And he made a good point because it ties into the presidential debate. He mentioned how Rand Paul didn't even show up because they bumped him from the main debate to the undercard. And he said, screw that. If I'm not on the main card, I'm not coming. So what ended up happening was the other politicians were poking jokes at him and stuff, and the guy wasn't even there to defend himself. But just, showing up is half the battle,
Yeah, and with the simple-minded fucks that sit in the audience, they eat that up and they don't see the bigger picture. They just see this guy getting ripped on, and that's the view they have of him now. And so he's buried. He's buried from the start. If you ever watched it, they never show him on the news. They never show him as an actual candidate. And
yeah, but you know what? That's
why would
like when Ron Paul was running,
it is.
he got fucked by the media just because he was blackballed because he was talking about something new and different and interesting, stuff that made sense. He wasn't an establishment guy, but Rand Paul is different because he does something else that he shoots himself in the foot with, and he's negative. The guy, he doesn't smile. He's not enthusiastic. He doesn't look like he really. I mean, he believes in what he's saying, but he doesn't look like he has enthusiasm for what he's talking about. Like, if he wants me to believe his bullshit, he's got to believe it first. You know what I mean? It doesn't look like he's got any conviction.
And I always Hitler's such a great example. Not, his views are a little skewed, but his well, no, I talk about he's probably one of the best public speakers of history, just because of his, like you said, enthusiasm. And that's what, if you read any books, and I was going to say courses, but we were just talking about that before we started. Well,
the example points out how disgusting you could talk. Your subject matter can be so disgusting, but the way he presents it, he freaking brainwashes
what I was going to say,
millions of people. Yeah,
exactly. It's your conviction. It's the way you present it. It's how passionate. If someone's really passionate about something, people tend to listen, and they tend to believe what they say. So, like you said with Rand, he's the very opposite of that, where it almost seems like he was kind of pushed into being a politician. He kind of doesn't want to be there. Whereas Ron, I feel like that was he wanted to be there, and it sucks.
Something's off. Something's off there. I mean, I think that his big problem, and this is probably the only point I want to make on politics for this episode anyway, is he's got one foot in the libertarian camp, and his other foot is in the door with the Republican establishment. He's trying to play both sides, and you can't do that because you end up getting called out from both of them.
Yeah. No, exactly. And not only that, they're wishy-washy. A lot of people find it as suspect, and they get turned off by that. So
yeah.
I do want to point a couple things out of politics that make me laugh. One of them is Trump, is because when else in history has someone got called out for something on TV? Like he was saying something about women. He said, no, I said that about Rosie O'Donnell. Like, it was all okay now.
The reason the guy's doing well, I think, is because he doesn't mince words. He doesn't try to sound like the smartest guy on the stage. He just says what he's thinking, and he makes it simple, and he makes it direct.
Exactly.
And people respond to that.
And I was going to say next was if Rand had any bit of that, I think he'd be doing a lot better than he is now. But he doesn't have that presence of on the stage. The guy, Trump says a lot of crazy shit, and it just it goes through, and people cheer for it. I don't understand. He's saying all this crazy shit about Mexicans.
Talk about attention. He gets more attention from liberals than he does from conservatives, because they talk about him more trying to diss him and bash him than the conservatives do who love him. You know what I mean? He gets more press from the bad guys.
And I was listening to, I think it might have been Joe Rogan's podcast, and they were talking about Trump actually, and they brought up a funny point. Is what he'll do is if somebody comes out against him, he sends out a tweets about.
Yeah, I heard this too.
Yeah. He tweets about him, and one was a great example was Ronda Rousey, because he was always talking about, see, Ronda Rousey supports me, and he was loved her. He always praised her, and then she came out and had it on video and said, I'm not behind anybody. He's like, I'm not behind him. I'm not, whatever.
Actually, I think she supported. Isn't she for Bernie Sanders?
Probably, yeah. And and then he sends out a tweet. He's like, when she lost, he's like, I'm glad she lost. She's not a very good person.
If it happens with if it happens with somebody else, he goes, that guy was always a loser.
Yeah, that guy was always a loser. No one ever liked him.
His whole family
not
was
a good
losers.
Person.
Not a good person, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
but
funny.
The thing with women,
that shit.
He does, and the thing with women, he said when he said the Rosie O'Donnell thing, people were like, no, you said it about all women. And he goes, maybe I did. That was his response.
That was the end of it too. It never came up again because he just owned it. Not that it was good or bad what he did, but the fact that he's blunt and direct is serving him well, I guess, is the point, right?
And it's like the point is he's so ridiculous that it's the stuff he says that it's just like it's almost like the even media is afraid to call him out because of the tongue lashing they'll get, and that's actually happened. I saw at one of his little speeches he gave. A reporter said something he didn't like. He got smart with him, and he kind of put the reporter in his place. It's almost like they're scared to probably bring a stupid question to him because he's just going to make him look foolish. And he's just a good business. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, you getting sick and tired of these Bernie Sanders people yet?
To be honest with you, and I'm not even exaggerating. I haven't watched TV in so long. I'll actually hop on
social media. Like even I see Facebook friends posting stuff. It's embarrassing.
don't even look. I can't look at any of this stuff anymore. Like I'll actually eat on the treadmill at the gym to warm up, and the TV will be on, and the thing I turn it off. I can't do. It just gives me a headache. Too much social media. It's not good for you. So I haven't seen any of them, but it's all bullshit to me. I can't. And you want to talk about toxic, you scroll down to the comment section. Oh my God, they're just the people out in this world. It blows my mind how not even a little educated, nothing. They don't know nothing. It's actually sad because these are the people that are voting. So not that votes matter anyway. I don't think they do, but.
Well, that's a different topic for a different show, I guess, right?
Yeah, I think it's all been bullshit since for a very long time. You dig into it, you find some crazy shit. Like I think more people voted in Ohio than even live in the state. Another thing was like one of the counties was like 90% Democratic. It was something a ridiculous percentage went for the one party, and it's statistically impossible for that many people to vote for one guy. That's what they were saying. And somebody that worked on the campaign actually talked about making algorithms that kind of fix the elections. And this is just the stuff that's out there, So I mean, to me, it's all bullshit, and it doesn't matter if it's fixed or not. You get the same shit with either guy. So
as it is now, yeah. So anyway, 2016, you got new goals for the year?
No, I mean, I don't know. I don't really buy into the new year, new goals for this year. I'm kind of just working on the same old goals where I'm just making the moves I have to make with work and financially, and I'm still trying to get my my first duplex, and which actually, can you talk about your deal at all or no? Still kind of.
No, I can a little bit, but you're right in that I definitely don't think of the new year, new me. There's no reason to start it on January 1st when you could have started it the day after Christmas or any other day. You know what I mean? But a year is a unit of time, and you have to measure all things by some amount of time. So, for me, if I measure production at work or something like that,
Didn't we talk about that in our goal show? It has to be measurable, right?
Right. So if you break it up by yearly production or whatever your metric is, it's just used for one comparison to another. But it's not like, oh, it's January 1st. That's more significant than October 12th or some random day,
Right. No. Well, it actually, I agree with you, and I do use it, even though I don't buy into it. I kind of do use the start of the new year as a kind of a motivator because it's like it's 2016. Certain things that need to be. I need to be certain places that I'm not right now. So that's what I'm kind of turn intensity up a little bit and you get it done. 10x. Got to 10x it to get shit done. It's the only way you're ever going to get anywhere in life. Just take massive action.
That's it.
But
well, speaking of massive action, after having taken no action for the first 25 years of my life, in the 26th year, finally got my ass out there and working on my first real estate deal for myself personally with a partner, and we'll bring him on the show. Probably not next week because I have somebody else I'm thinking of, maybe the week after, or maybe when it closes, which would be sometime in February. But it's not rocket science. This is the simple formula for everybody when it comes to real estate. You save a little bit of money from whatever your primary day job is. If you need a partner, you get a partner. You use leverage. The bank's going to give you 80% of the money you need. You find a good deal and you buy it. It's so much simpler than so much more simple than people want to make it out to be. And just think about it this way. Let's use rough numbers, but let's just say this house is going to cash flow, and we'll get into the actual numbers when the deal's closed, but let's just say $1,200 a month in cash flow. Let's even be conservative. We'll say $1,000 a month. Between two partners, that's $500 each forever until the end of time. How many houses do you need to retire if you have $500 per month cash flow? It's a lot less than you think. You know what I mean?
It is. I actually did the math on mine because you got to put pen to paper to see how much you really need to live. I did the math where it's like I only need like $30,000 a year to take care of all my basic expenses, which people think like to be financially free. And I did the math. I think I need 60,000 years to be financially, what's the next word? Financially independent. Well, the first one would be financially independent. I think the next one was financially free, where you can go on vacations, you can live a little more lavish. And it's like, I only need 60,000 a year in passive income, which, if you think about it, I mean, it seems like a lot, but it's really not that much money. People think they need like millions of dollars to retire, to do all this shit.
Net worth is
you don't need much at all.
Net worth is bullshit too. It's about cash flow. You know what I mean? And
Right.
you know, first of all, people are going to say, "Oh, but it's real estate. It goes up and down in value." I don't care. I'm not investing to sell it for a higher price. I could care less about that. First of all,
You're not investing. You're not speculating. You're not buying and hoping it's going to go up. You're buying to, right, like you said, invest.
Right. And if you hold it over the long term, it'll go up anyway, and that's like the cherry on top. But you're not investing for that reason. You're investing for cash flow, that monthly check, every single month forever. And then people say, "Oh, but what about when tenants move out? What about when tenants cause damage? What about when the next Hurricane Sandy comes?" And that's why you got insurance. That's why you factor a vacancy factor into it. That's why you put money away for repairs and reserves. If you do it the right way, there's no better place to put your money, in my opinion, especially over the long term.
Not only that, you know, what I would call those are called problems. And I don't know about you, but I'd rather have those problems than have car problems, I can't pay my rent problems.
You know what's a real problem?
No.
You know what's a real problem? Go to work every day for 40 years and put your money into a retirement account and hope
Right.
that when you're ready to retire, we don't have another recession of 2008. That's a problem. Because how many people wanted to retire in 08 and are still working now because they couldn't?
Well, we'll get into that in a minute. But yeah, like, exactly. Why would you want that problem? I'll take the broken toilet over guessing what my future is going to be any day. But you know, it's not for everybody. But you don't have to be in real estate to.
It's
sort
you
of
know
invest in
who it's not for. It's not for people if you're a fucking pussy. That's who it's not for. If you don't want to actually do something that takes a little bit of effort and a little bit of know-how, which is all available free, by the way, on the internet, then you know what? You don't deserve the fruits of that labor anyway. And you're probably going to be the one who's just going to sit here and criticize and, and be the one who's not getting anywhere.
Right. You know what, though? That's a common theme to it. What's that? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And I was going to say, if you're watching this, that's probably not the type of person you are. So it's just what it comes down to. Do you want to do the work and get it done? Or do you want to bitch and moan and complain and say, woe is me, and cry about everything?
Right. Well, you know, I think that's actually a problem in this country, and that's just something it's just ingrained in the fabric of the way things are. People are just afraid to face things. You know, they're afraid to face their finances. They know their finances are terrible, but they're afraid to look at their credit report. They don't even want to know what they owe. They think if they don't talk about it or face it, it's just going to go away. But it's like, you got to start somewhere. I don't care how shitty your mess is. You got to start cleaning it up. It's like, you know.
Well, the first thing it starts with is changing your mindset. You know, stop being a victim.
Yeah.
Stop blaming everybody else for your problems. Be accountable for the situation you're in. And guess what? When you look at your own personal income statement and your balance sheet, those are report cards. You know what I mean? That's what Kiyosaki says. They're report cards. You get an A or you get an F or something in the middle.
Those are the real report cards. Those are real life.
Those are the
report
ones
cards.
that matter. You know, when you go to get a loan from the bank, he's not saying, "Let me see your high school diploma." No, he says, "Let me see your balance sheet. Let me see your income statement." Those are the ones that really matter. And not that the money's important, but your financial health is important if there's certain things that you want to do. You know.
Right, and again, not everybody's after that $1 million jet flying lifestyle. You know, some people just want the freedom of just not being told what to do all the time. And if you really break the numbers down, and if you man up a little bit and face your finances, you'll learn pretty quick that it does not take a lot of money to get what you want in life. And then you can just disregard the money aspect. Then you can start focusing on what you really like to do. Do you like to play guitar? Do you like to draw? You know what I'm saying? There's so much shit that life has to offer. This whole go to work shit, it's a new age thing. That's not how humans are built. You know, we're built to make things and just be productive members of society, be productive, you know, do things that we like to do. And I think we got stuck in this box of, you know, you wake up, you go to work, you go home, take a shit, eat, go back to bed. And it's like, what's the fun in that? How's that living, you know? And I don't know, people just, it's not hard to get where you have to go. But you have to take a real good look at where you are, and you have to make a decision of where you want to go, and
And remember too,
start the journey. You have to start though. You have to start.
and you got to remember, you're talking about passive income. That's what you get when you invest for cash flow in real estate. It's passive. So you're talking about $30,000 a year passive. That means the check's coming in the mail to you, Corey, every month, whether you like it or not. You could say, "Oh, this month I got enough. I don't want any more." It's coming anyway.
You can call them. Yeah, you call them and tell them keep the money. That's sorry, we got to send it to you.
Yeah, it's forever. It's forever, as long as you own that house. And you know what? And that's that's why I don't like single family homes. It's a good way to start in some regards, and I'll tell you why we picked that when we do the episode on it. But that's why multifamily is so attractive. If you want a 10-unit apartment building and somebody leaves, no big deal. You got 9 other people paying the rent. 2 people leave, you got 8 other people paying the rent. And you have economies of scale. Even though there's 10 tenants, there's only one roof, there's only one boiler, there's only one sewer system. So you have economies of scale that you don't get when you buy one house at a time. Only one yard,
And what Robert Kiyosaki talks about it's an unmeasurable return on investment at a certain point, because let's say you put $20,000 into the property. Let's say you own it long enough where you pull that $20,000 out. Technically, you no longer have any investment in the property. You're just getting money from this property, and the bank, it's on the bank's dollar, and it's an ATM every month that sends you checks.
Right.
You
and
no
not
longer
only
have
that,
money invested.
So the $20,000. Exactly, that's what I was going to say. So if you have $20,000 into it, a couple years later you refinance, take $30,000 out of it, and you put that as a down payment on another property. Now, not only did you get that money back, you put it to work somewhere else. So now those dollars are still earning money in 2 places, technically.
And you know what? Money's going to work a hell of a lot harder than anybody you know or I know, because it works 24/7.
It doesn't sleep.
365. Doesn't sleep. Money doesn't sleep. It's a corny cliche, but it's true. I mean, once you get money to work for you, it's it keeps working. So
it boils down to the biggest difference between people who are successful and people who are stuck in the rat race is that average people buy stuff, and beyond average people buy assets. And it doesn't have to be real estate. It doesn't have to. I mean, some people can do okay with high dividend stocks. I mean, that's not my favorite thing. A lot of people can do great with business. But eventually the goal should be to replace yourself, so that you're not the one changing toilets. You're not the one running your business day to day. Replace yourself, and then that thing's a cash flow machine forever.
Right. You know what? I mean, I don't know if you agree, but I felt more free in life when years ago I emotionally detached myself from money, and I turned because it really is just a big monopoly game of life. That we chase these dollars that really don't mean anything.
It's just
when
green
you die,
pieces. It's just
it is
green pieces of paper. I mean,
and guess what? When you die, it all goes back in the box. You don't keep any of it. So I mean, it doesn't matter. So and I think that's the difference between. I wouldn't say successful, unsuccessful. I'm talking about not like rich and poor. I think the people that are stuck in the rat race, that are trapped in it, they have such emotional attachment to money that they think that that's like a reflection on them and on their character and who they are. When it's money's important because of what it buys in today's society. It buys you health care, buys you food, shelter. But I mean, at the same time, it's not, money shouldn't reflect who you are. It's a thing.
And even if you take that a step further, money is important because what does it allow for? It allows for you to do the things you really want to do, which might be write a book, spend time with your family, rescue dogs, or whatever the hell you want to do.
So once you can take that emotion out of it, you can start to come up with a plan with a more clear and focused mind, because you're not fumbling, not thinking straight because you're so attached to this fucking thing that don't mean shit.
Isn't it crazy? Once you have that like paradigm shift, and you're not a slave to money anymore, and you don't think about it that way. You don't think about get up, go to work, get paid, pay the bills, go to sleep, get up, go to, you know what I mean?
Right,
maybe take a shit, go on vacation, and do something else fun once in a while, sprinkled in there. You know what I mean? But other than that, it's the same routine day in and day out. If you just change your thought process a little bit and how that works, it's just you flip everything upside down. And
not only that, it frees up your mind too. It frees up your thoughts. It frees up your planning abilities. Because when you're constantly sucked into this thing called money, it's like it really consumes you. And I think some of the rich people those rich assholes that have no morals and stuff, I think what they are just the poor people's mentality that end up making a lot of money because that's all they care about. They don't care about their family. They don't care about the friends they fucked over. That's all they care about is money. That's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about the people that truly don't give a fuck about money, but they just make a lot of it because they know what it can buy. So, and they hustle. One common denominator that's everybody is successful, rich or not, is they fucking hustle.
They 10x
They
that
get
shit.
to work. They 10x their actions and they get it done.
You know what? We talked about something a couple shows ago, and I think it's if you could change one thing like immediately, I think putting yourself in uncomfortable situations, it doesn't cost anything. Everybody can do it because everybody has opportunities to do it. Just put yourself in more uncomfortable situations than you are now. And I bet you'd be amazed how fast your life changes. Because that might mean going in to ask for a raise. That might be starting to look for a new job. That might be starting a business that you didn't otherwise think you could do. Or going after bigger clients. Or buying a piece of real estate and you've never done it before, anything.
Exactly. And I think another thing people have to start doing is, and listen, I'm not on here because I got a lot of shit that I got to fix
Preach,
myself.
Corey,
We
preach,
all do.
preach.
But you have to really examine your actions. Like, what do you spend your time doing? Like if you have a goal of maybe you want to retire and live down in Florida, well, it's like, what are you doing today that's getting you there? Like, what actions are you taking that's getting you there? No matter if they're little actions, it's an hour a week of doing something to save money or, I don't know, to get ready to move or whatever it is. But it's like, you ever listen to any Bob Proctor, read any of his books or no? No. He talks a lot about the subconscious mind, the conscious mind, and it's like the subconscious mind is the mind that's what makes all the decisions. That's the decision maker. Your conscious mind is almost like a defender of the thoughts that come in. So when you consciously think a thought like, oh, I can't do that, or oh, I won't be good enough, your conscious mind's job is to block that, and you make the decision to say, I won't think that, and you never let it get to your subconscious. And by doing that, you can actually kind of change the way you think, and you start changing your actions, build better habits. And we'll link to it below. But Bob Proctor, maybe we'll link to one of the videos I watched on him. But if you spend a little time on YouTube, listen to him, maybe read a book of his. He does a lot better, obviously, job explaining it. But
and you know what?
It's just it's another paradigm shift. That's all it is.
And we certainly ain't perfect because we talk about all this bullshit. But guess what? Until February, whatever day in February that I'm closing, neither one of us owns any real estate. I do shit that I hate all the time. Like this year, part of my goals that I'm working on is whatever time I get up in the morning, it's not early enough. I want to become more of a morning person. I spend a lot of good time on the internet in the evenings, like educating myself or reading, but I spend too much time on fucking Reddit. You know what I mean? Even though there's good stuff on there too, but I waste too much time.
And what are you doing? You're examining your actions. Like, all right, I can start filling this time that's wasted on stupid shit. I can fill it with productive things that's going to put me where I have to be. And sometimes making those tiny shifts will actually catapult you years to your goal. By not doing something today, you have no idea. And I think actually Eric Thomas talks about this. He's like, you can actually put such a fucking stunt like of growth on your success that something you don't do today can cost you years of progress. And maybe it's a meeting that you missed that you could have talked to some guy that could have been a mentor to you that really could have fast forwarded you to get there. Anything can happen, but when you're taking actions and constantly putting yourself in the right positions, good things are going to happen. And those are the people actually, they say, oh, that guy's so lucky. Oh, good stuff happens to him all the time. It's like, no, he's 10x in his actions. That's why you pull the hat down. He's 10x in the actions, and he's putting himself in the position he needs to be in. That's why he's lucky.
Well, listen, everybody's a little bit lucky, right? You're gonna hit a home run one out of every so many times. But let's say you hit a home run one in every 10 at-bats. The guy who gets more at-bats is going to hit more home runs. You know what I mean? So
exactly,
it's about putting yourself out there in that case.
Right. So for this year, man, that's the new year and the new me I'll make is that's something I got to do too. Is to get up earlier and just cut out the bullshit time. You waste reading articles that you shouldn't be reading. I'll read stupid stuff about animals in Africa. What the hell I have to know that for? I don't. I enjoy it because it's interesting, but it's like
I spend way too much time arguing with people about Bernie Sanders on Reddit. Entirely too much time.
That's another thing. You know, I used to be one to comment actually on some of these videos. I just made it a habit to not, because it's fucking stupidity, man.
By the way, I'll help
You know-
everybody out. If you've been trying to kick the Facebook habit, just go to Reddit instead. That's where all the funny videos come from. They're pretty much all from Reddit and just get reposted on the Facebook anyway. Except you don't have to read all the other bullshit on Facebook that you don't want to see.
Right. That's a good one too. And actually, if you really want to block, there's something and I don't use it anymore because I when I updated my computer, I got rid of it. I have to re-download it, but it's called Leech Block, and it'll block. You can
Social
block
media.
certain sites. You know? Yeah, you can block social media.
From
You can block
yourself.
YouTube. You can block anything from yourself. So and you can set the hours from like 8 a.m. to maybe 5 p.m. No Facebook, no YouTube, no anything. I usually keep YouTube because I like listening to videos while I'm working, and I'll listen to podcasts all day. Usually Joe Rogan or something, just because of the people that he gets on there. I like listening to just like astronaut, like he gets like astronauts on there. He got Steve-O on there. He just got all different.
He gets. I was thinking about this the other day. He gets like 3 different types of guests. He gets his comedian friends, which those are funny podcasts, but they're not particularly insightful. He gets MMA guys because he's in the MMA world. He does the commentary for the big UFC fights, which those are pretty interesting. Those are some interesting people. And then the third category is like just general interesting people, whether it's Neil deGrasse Tyson, Steve-O, some type of journalist who just did some big documentary on something, people like that.
Right.
He had Lance
Yeah, and
Armstrong. Lance Armstrong on the podcast.
Did you see that one?
Yeah, very good. I actually really sympathize with Lance Armstrong for whatever reason. I don't even know why.
You know why? I think he represents a lot of the problems, just like of being in the spotlight, being an athlete. Because it's like if one it's like in a second, the firestorm can just be brought upon you, and he was doing nothing different than anybody else was doing, but he was a golden boy. He's the one that won everything. It was an unfortunate position to be in, but he was still that guy taking the 10x level actions, getting it done, winning. He was the guy on the bike riding that bike, winning those races. It's like, how can you take that away from him? But
my opinion on him is that the one thing he did that's unforgivable is he took other people down with him, in the sense that when people were trying to call him out, he made their lives miserable, threatened to sue them, intimidated them, saying, if you keep coming after me, I'm going to ruin your career and all this bullshit. That was inexcusable. The fact that he lied about using drugs, if you really care about that, first of all, I know you don't give a shit about cycling, so why do you care in the first place? But second off, every single guy was blood doping. Every single one of them. I think they said in the years that Lance Armstrong won the Tour, and it's not totally sure, but they think that the highest place anybody ever got without being accused of blood doping was like 18th place in any one of those 7 years.
I was going to say, some of the guys that came in at the lower ranks were the only ones not doping.
Right, and that's why they weren't winning. So when everybody's blood doping, and Lance Armstrong still wins 7 straight Tour de France bike races, 2,500 miles in like less than a month. It's one of the most amazing feats in athletic history. And the reason I back him, I think, is I sympathize with him. Not only did he beat cancer and he won all these races, but the amount of bullshit and fucking hate that he got. I think about those people who are saying that stuff, and it's like who are you? You have no skeletons in your closet, and you're raining down on this guy. Meanwhile, he was a motivation to all these people who might have been sick with cancer or were trying to get into shape or whatever. And so he did a lot of bad shit, but I think he did a lot of good shit too. And I don't think he's a bad guy. I think he just got stuck in a lie, and he couldn't get out of it without lying about lies. Well,
you know what? You don't see all those cancer institutions that got all that money giving the money back. You don't see the owners of the Tour de France giving the money back and giving their boats back. You don't see any of that. So, I mean, why? It's just fucked up that everything got pinpointed on this guy. But what about all the other shit, all the other money that went around, everything else that got gained? It's like,
and he's
you
now
don't talk about that.
Yeah, he's totally unaffiliated with the Livestrong Foundation.
Right.
They kicked him out.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All this,
It's all because of him, and then they kick him out. I mean, listen, I guess they're in a tight spot too, but at the end of the day, if you actually, I would recommend that interview, and we should link it below.
Okay.
Really, really, really good interview. And again, this is why podcasts are great. 3-hour long form interview with Lance Armstrong to really go in depth about what he was thinking and what he was doing at the time when this happened, you know?
Right. And, you know, the great thing about podcasting, too, is, like, it's such a great platform for guys like that are hated, that nobody want to listen to them, and you don't, and the media puts spins on shit. He was in the media, like you said, talking shit and lying, and it's like he never really got a chance to voice his, you know, listen, this is what happened. And podcasts are great for that because, like you said, it's a long format interview.
Yeah, they were piling on, you know?
Yeah, you just let it all out, and, you know. And the fucked up thing, too, is, like, people don't, it's the same thing with bodybuilding. It's like, just because they're taking steroids don't mean shit. If you took the steroids or the doping or whatever performance-enhancing drugs out of it, it's going to be the same top guys at the top. They're just, maybe the bike guys won't get the same time. Maybe they'll be a little slower, or maybe the bodybuilder's not going to be as big, but it's like they're still going to be there. Those are guys that are putting in the work.
That's a good comparison. If we had perfect testing and it was impossible to get on a bicycle without being tested for every single thing, and you knew everybody was clean, Lance Armstrong still would have won 7 straight Tour de France's, in my opinion. Now, do the drugs affect different people differently? Maybe, but I don't think that's enough reason to say that he wouldn't have been the top cyclist in the world still. Same thing with bodybuilding, just like you said. Everybody who goes to the gym, you probably can see 2 or 3 people who you think are on steroids, and they probably are. Why don't they look like Ronnie Coleman?
Because they're not, you know, and I like the interview with probably one of the best, and I don't know if you saw the new one with Dorian Yates on London Real. But did you see the new one too?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't know which one's better. The first one, probably the first one, just because it was fucking exciting, you know. But you know, the guy wakes up on time every single morning, 8 o'clock, rise and shine, eats, you know, goes and gets workout, eats again, you know. He's on a strict schedule. He dedicated his life to a sport, you know, just to entertain people.
And the funny
you
thing
know, he's
is,
in bed by 11 o'clock at night. He couldn't go see a movie with his girlfriend or wife because
it would interfere.
He had to be at bed by 11.
Yeah, or anything else.
So fucking focused.
And that was for one
that
day
guy
a
still
year.
would have been on top.
It was for one day a year,
What's
the
that?
Mr. Olympia.
For one day a year.
They didn't like dedicating your
That's
life
like-
to being a football player, but that takes up 6 months. It's literally one day of the year.
Right.
And you win, you go to sleep, and you do it all over again.
Exactly. And it's like someone that dedicates their life to that, how are you going to discredit everything they've done all because they use something to it's just a supplement if you think about it. I mean, I know it changes your body chemistry, you know, puts on more muscle than you probably naturally would, but it's like it's a tool, you know. It's like the comparison is if I'm building a house, if I just have hammer and nails, I can get done a hell of a lot faster if I have a screw gun, you know, or an air gun shooting the nails in. So it's like it's just something to help you get there a little faster. Do I agree with it? Actually, I do, and I actually think steroids should be all in fucking football and basketball. Well, let's do whatever they want to do. You know, what's it matter? We're watching it. We're going to be entertained by it. It's going to be that much better. So it's like maybe have better guidelines so it's a little safer for the athletes, you know. But it's like,
well, listen,
they're always going to find ways around it. So it's
yeah.
like,
Well, when it comes to cheating, and it is cheating because it's
I
not
don't
in the
see
rules. It's not in the rules, so by their laws, it's cheating. Whether it should or shouldn't be cheating is a different argument, but it's a little bit different in football. It's a little different in football and baseball when it's explicitly against the rules and you can or can't. Cycling, it was against the rules, but everybody was doing it. We know that. Bodybuilding, I don't know if there are rules on it. Everybody does it. So,
well, you're not. Yeah, there are rules on it, but I don't even think they test.
They don't test.
I don't think you're allowed. Yeah.
Right. In the cycling world, everybody did it. So if everybody's a cheater, is everyone cheating or is nobody cheating? You know what I mean? If everybody, it's like a moral question at that point.
Exactly. You know, it's the same. It's just the way the society's going. Everyone gets offended by fucking everything. And it's like everyone's a crybaby, and it's like, oh well, I don't want to do steroids, and he gets to do them. Well, I don't want to do them, so make him stop doing them because I don't want to do them and I want to play. So it's like, it's sad to say, but it's like if that's what it takes to be on top, is where you're gonna have to take a little performance enhancing drugs to get there. I mean, that's something that these elite athletes are willing to do. It's like, how are you going to penalize them for it? Listen, we all got different views on it, but it's like, I find nothing wrong with taking any performance enhancing drugs, and it's like, that's the way it is. You know, when you're at that level, to get 1 second off your 40, to get that extra rep, to get that extra jump on, I mean, we watch football, especially in today's days where they slow the camera down. How many amazing catches do you see that are literally by an inch? You know what I'm saying? It's like to get that inch.
Right. I
weight
agree with you.
room,
I don't particularly care about performance enhancing drugs, but I do disagree. I don't think if it's in the rules, I don't think it should be allowed in football, baseball, whatever. Like bodybuilding, it's part of the sport. That's part of what makes it bodybuilding.
I see what you're saying. If everybody gets if everyone gets the same guideline, then it's like everybody should follow it.
I want everybody playing on the same playing field. So like, if like in cycling, it doesn't bother me as much because everybody did it. They all knew each other did it, so it wasn't really a big deal.
Right.
But I know for a fact baseball, most of the guys are clean. There's a couple who are still cheating, probably, but we'll never know.
Well, I mean, arguably, I know, like, UFC's, we actually talked about this, we're watching UFC at Jesse's not too long ago, but they have cracked. They have really, 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 really strict.
They do now, yeah.
Yeah, now. But the thing is,
how do you feel about that? How do you feel about UFC? Because, in my opinion, I think that should be super, super strict because you can literally kill somebody because you're punching and kicking harder than a human normally would be able to.
I have no opinion on it when it comes to that because I agree with you. That's what I was about to say is like that's really the only thing I have against it is you're superhuman strong. So it's like when you're punching someone and kicking and shit like that, I mean, it could be dangerous. But at the same time, it's like even though these guys aren't taking the stuff that's in the rule books right now, they are taking some kind of performance-enhancing drugs, the stuff that's non-detectable, the stuff that they can't get. And, as the years go by, they find a way to test those out, and then they'll come up with new stuff. And it's constantly a cat and mouse game with these sports because, like I said, when you have these elite athletes, they're willing to do anything to get to the next level.
Plus, you have to think, what is performance-enhancing drugs? So surely is taking creatine the most scientifically studied supplement that's has proven effects over and over again? Is that performance-enhancing? It is performance enhancing, but it's legal in pretty much every sport. Now, what about if you go a step further? Can you take branched chain amino acids? Can you take fish oil? Can you take all these other things that help your body work properly? And then you say, now what's next? Can you take some type of test booster that you buy at GNC?
Right.
You could buy it in the freaking mall. Can you take that?
Well, and that's the thing that sucks.
Where do you draw the line?
That's the thing that sucks is because then when stuff like that happens, there's always has to be someone that gets made an example of, and unfortunately, that was Lance Armstrong. That's the guys you see in the media getting beat up, and it is what it is. What are you gonna do? I mean, but
all right. So
I don't care what goes on behind the scenes.
We've been rambling on. Let's land the plane here. What do you want to finish up with? Let's get back to 2016 because we're both poised to have big years, much bigger than last year. We're going to have a real estate deal to talk about in a couple episodes. We're going to have a couple guests on the show. And everybody should be doing it big for 2016.
Well, I'd like to say one thing. Look out, because the stocks markets...
Oh, shit.
Just the stock markets. Macy's just laid off like 3,000 employees. AIG, good thing we bailed them out because they just closed like 24 of their 27 offices.
And guess what? If you're invested in your 401k in the stock market, what's your only recourse of action right now is to do this.
That's it.
That's all you.
That's
can do.
what you get. That's what you get for putting your hard-earned. And you know what? I sympathize with a lot of the people because they were tricked. They were sold this fucking pipe dream that give us your money, we'll match it. It was a good idea. It was a cute idea. 401ks, good idea, but it doesn't work.
Why is that the only thing? That's what the government doesn't understand. When you subsidize something like that and you give tax advantages and employers are matching and they get tax advantages to do so, you're going to divert resources into places they wouldn't normally go. Not everybody would say, let me just throw all my extra money into the stock market unless they were incentivized to do that.
And that's exactly why government involved in anything just does not work, is because they dictated that. They drove 401ks because they put the tax incentives for everyone to dump the money into it, and then they made it legal for certain people to bet on the market, and then now you have all this money pouring in, and the stock's going up, and when it goes up, it's got to come down, and
I will
that's what
say,
we're seeing now. And
go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's not even only 401ks that are affected. You got public pension plans, you got private company pension plans. You have a lot of money sitting in the stock market, and when it drops 80%, because it's not stopping. It keeps fighting its way back up. They're probably going to start printing money soon again with more quantitative easing, but time will tell. But it's like,
well, you know why? The market's been pulling back lately because you could really relate it all to the interest rates. They finally raised rates a quarter of a freaking point. They barely raised anything, and the markets are going nuts. Imagine what the markets would do if the interest rates were at normal levels, like 4 or 5%, like a reasonable interest rate.
Or you take it back to like, what was that, the 70s, where they had like 10%,
18%.
15%,
Yeah.
18% interest rates. Jesus,
Or
can you
mortgages
imagine?
were like 18, 20%. I don't know what the prime rate was. It was probably like 10 or something.
Well, the problem we're having, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I think about this a lot, but it's like, basically, you have all these companies taking these cheap loans out with 0% interest rates. It's like me taking a loan from you, $1,000, and I'm not paying no interest on it. But then all of a sudden, and I'm barely getting by, borrowing all this fucking money, and then all of a sudden you attach a percentage to it that I have to pay back, and it's like, you just took away from my profits. You just cut into the revenue I was making, and it's
All of a sudden,
for some of these companies that are.
Right, you're not
Yeah,
doing
for
as
some of
good
these
as you
companies
thought you
that
were doing.
Right, and for some of these companies that are barely holding on, that's a nail in the coffin for them. And once it starts snowballing, it affects everybody, because now all those, think about it, you got all those Macy's employees that get laid off. They got car payments, they have rent payments. They're going to start falling behind. Then those loan companies might start to default. I mean, it's a ripple effect in a pond, and it really reaches everywhere. And yeah, so I was actually in a diner. And what's that?
You didn't have time to say Ponzi scheme. You just had to shorten it to Ponzi.
It is a Ponzi.
No, I'm making fun of you because you said it's a Ponzi.
Oh, I don't even know what the fuck I just said, but.
Well, no, but to add on that, I was going to say
hold on.
it also.
What's the definition of a Ponzi scheme? What's the definition of it? It's
paying old investors with the new investors' money.
Exactly. What the fuck is the United States doing? What kind of game do we have going on? It's like
that's Social Security to a T. But I was going to say it also the interest rates affects the economy in other ways too. Like it affects the people directly. Like it affects housing prices. When rates are low, housing prices skyrocket. And then I wonder why millennials aren't buying houses, because they can't fucking afford them. What do you mean? Why?
Right.
Inflation's eating away their dollars, so their money ain't worth shit. Meanwhile, the houses are so freaking expensive. They're paying Social Security payments. Poor young people are paying Social Security to rich old people. That's basically where that money's going.
Right, and then this drove me nuts. I was watching the State of the Union address. Only reason I was watching because it was the last one, and that made me fucking sick. But one thing was, he talked about how good the job numbers were, but it's like they're not taking into account who's getting these jobs. It's fucking part-time jobs. It's old people coming out of retirement to do them. It's all being absorbed into the hospitality business with waiters, bartenders.
They're part-time, low-skill, low-wage jobs. They're not good jobs.
These aren't. Yeah, and that's not how you build a strong fucking nation and a strong economy. That's not the economy of the turn of the 20th century, early 1900s. We're at a powerhouse of the world, all the way up into the 50s, and just. I feel like the 50s for a lot of things, not even just the economy, was like the turning point in history. Yeah,
that was the high point.
It was our peak, and ever since then, man,
it's been perpetual
crazy
war and money printing and regulation and taxes and big government. And
everything that the founders set off. Right, everything the founders set off not to do is happening. So it's a shame, is what it is. But it is what it is.
If you have a 401k and we just made you worried, first of all, you good, because you probably should be a little bit worried. Now, I will say, investing in a 401k is probably better than just spending every dollar you make and not saving anything. It might not be a lot better than putting the money under your mattress, but you're gambling. Because if you go out when the market's high and you take your retirement, you probably will do okay. If you're ready to retire and 2008 happens again, you're fucked. So just take control of your stuff. I mean, that's the problem with the 401k is because you have limited choices as to what you can actually invest in, you know? You don't have any control, which is the main thing.
And the fucked up thing is, like, a lot of these investment companies, they should have the money. What you do is, it's called betting, like, with the market. You put into an index fund, and that it just grows with the market, you know? So no matter what happens to the companies, they're not stock picking. And the problem with these fucking mutual funds is they stock pick, and the guys that are stock picking for you, they have no skin in the game. They use your money. They get to participate on your gains. But when the market crashes and you lose all your money, they say, sorry, we thought it was a good bet. And that's that. You know, it's like the financial sector, another unproductive sector, is just sucking the money out of the productive sector of this economy, the people that are out there, working and building shit. So
it bothers me how they convinced everybody that's just what you do. You get a job, you put 3 or 5 or 6% of your money into your 401k. Like, that was the normal thing to do. That's not always been how it goes. That was never the normal thing. 401k didn't even exist.
Right. Why is it okay for somebody else? Why is it okay in some people's heads to let other people handle their future? Like, that's your future. That's your kid's future. If you plan on,
because people are brainwashed and they think that is just what you do. That's just what you do.
Well, I think the government's going to take care of them. So,
I mean, listen, you can make money in the stock market. Like our boy Peter Schiff's always talking about foreign stocks, investing in countries that are doing a lot better than us.
Well, that's why it should be free markets, not being forced into by your employer. Because then when people actually handle their own money, like, put it this way: if you go up to anybody on the street and ask them, "Do you care what TD Bank when you put the money in your deposit? Do you wonder what they're doing with it?" Well, I don't know. I don't fucking care. It's insured.
What kind of assets does TD hold in their portfolio? What kind of loans do they make? They don't freaking know.
Right. And I'm not saying I do.
And they don't care. We don't care because the FDIC insures our deposits. So once you have that, once you have that false security blanket of someone else taking care of you, you no longer feel like it matters because you think it's just going to be all right. And it's not going to be all right anyway. Yes. And that not only is it not going to be all right, but you don't even know what's going on.
Exactly. And if the FDIC wasn't there, some people would argue against me, but I think that's foolish because it's like, if they weren't there, what you'd be forced to do is you'd be forced to look at the bank's financial statements. Yeah, people spend more time looking at what fucking TV they're going to buy more than where they're going to place their future.
That's a great example.
They hand it over. They hand it over to some fucking banker and let him, and have fun with it. And it's like, when they lose, they lose. It's almost like me convincing you to give me your money and let me go down to Atlantic City with it and bet, and I'll share the profits with you. But if I lose it, I'm sorry.
Exactly what and then they act like they got such a good return on their portfolio. No, dude, the whole market went up 18% last year. So it wasn't you, that was the market. And then you're going to tell me
Great book to.
No, I was going to say, and then when the market goes down 25%, they're not going to take credit for that one. They're going to say, "Oh, that was just the market." You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. It's fucked up. I was just going to say a good book to read on this is Tony Robbins just put a new book out. It's like the seven secrets of money. We'll link to that too below. But it's a pretty long book. But he just talks about the math behind it, and you think that these small 1% changes on the money up front's not a big deal, but he does the math, and it's like some people's retirement goes from 100,000 when they could have retired with 900,000. Like, that small percentage up front kills them on the back end, and they don't read that.
That's such a great point because it goes back to the whole time value of money thing. I don't know where I got this. It was talking about Vanguard funds and how with their fee structure or whatever it is.
Vanguard's actually pretty good.
Well, whichever one it was. Right, whichever one it was, and whatever fees you're paying for these mutual funds, not time value of money, the opportunity cost of that money, because it can't compound on itself, obviously, because they're taking it up front. It was like 60% of what your portfolio would have been without fees is gone with fees. And it sounds like a
Right.
crazy number, but I'm sure in the book it explains it. You know what? I believe it now that
Oh,
I know
yeah.
kind of how it works.
Even he makes, in some cases, it depends what kind of fees you have and what kind of companies handle the 401ks, but sometimes they say from anywhere from, I think it's like 50% to like 90% of your nest egg that could have grown is fucking gone. That's insane.
It's sick. So we're not
It's
saying
sick.
don't save for retirement or don't keep the 401k you already have, but
Of course not. Yeah.
at least educate yourself and know that there's other options. You know, real estate, you could have it professionally managed by a third-party property management company. I think you'd be miles ahead of, you know, where you would be. And then if you have real estate, you don't have to worry about outliving your money. Even if you only had $2,000 a month cash flow because you bought 4 houses over the course of your lifetime, which isn't that hard because the bank's lending you 80% of the money. Let's say you had $2,000 a month cash flow. You don't have to worry about outliving it because that money's going to come in every month on the first of the month forever. You know what? 1 month you have to evict somebody or whatever. Your property management company takes care of that. It's not a big deal. That's way more safe and secure, in my opinion, than gambling in the stock market.
Right. And on that note, I got to say, it goes back to what we were talking at the beginning of the show. It's just, you know, excuse me for lack of better words, but I think for a new year, everyone has to stop being a pussy. Sit down, look at your finances, look at your future, and you know,
Don't
and
be a
really
little
ask
bitch.
yourself. Don't be a little bitch, and ask yourself, you know, what do you want out of life? And the guy Bob Proctor talks about this, and it sounds so corny, but I've subscribed to it, and my life's been changing ever since I kind of discovered it. And that's why I listen to these podcasts. I love new perspectives. You know, the more perspectives, the better. And his is kind of like you can build this life in your head, and our bodies are just like the avatar to bring it to life. So it's like, you know, you think it, build it in your head. Where do you want to be? Where do you want to go? And you know, and use your body to do it. You know, that's really what it comes down to. So don't be a little bitch. Look at your finances and make a plan.
All right,
Come on,
that's
people.
some sound advice for everybody heading into 2016. Freaking
Make it a big year.
Kill it this year. Make your goals.
And did you
10x. Good.
Did you know that during the Great Depression, made the most millionaires that history has ever seen?
I believe it. And when the bottom of the market falls out soon, it might be 2016, 17, whenever it's coming, you better know what the fuck's going on so you can take full advantage. But anyway,
We're going to walk you step by step what we're doing, because there's going to be a lot of money moving. I can't. I mean, I can wait because I want to still position myself even better. But
I can't
I'm
wait
ready
to talk
for it.
about this real estate deal we did. It was so stupidly simple.
you're going to be excited.
Dude, it was
Get me
so
excited.
stupidly simple. You're going to see how we're going to make, and I'm being super conservative, $500 a month cash flow forever. Forever,
Right.
till the end of time.
That's it, man. Yo, and, you know, they teach you all this shit and fucking. I think it's good, you know, I guess learn to exercise your brain. Actually, no, I don't. But you learn all this algebra, geometry. In the real world, all you need to know how to do is add, subtract, multiply, and divide, and you're good, dude. That's all you need.
You know
hire
what?
somebody to do the rest.
We'll even do the addition for you and the multiplication. We'll do it right on the freaking screen here. And think about it. It's $500 a month. You buy 4 of those houses, 5 of those houses. Tell me who couldn't live off $2,500 a month passively.
Right. That's what I was talking about before. To be financially independent, that's all you need. You know, what's that? $30,000 a year.
$2,500. But whatever the number is, whether it's $2,000 a month, $3,000 a month, $4,000 a month, if you actually took that ship by the balls and 10x'd it and just got a little bit more knowledge and raised a little bit of money and you wanted to grow that shit, it's so easy to get yourself to $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 a month. We're doing it. I hope we're still doing this podcast in 10 years and we can look back and say, remember what we did on episode 12, whatever this is?
I think we will. I want to I'm definitely be involved, because it's not fair. Look, we're there. You know, we're starting the show. We're just starting off. You know, we're just getting going here. But I don't think it's fair for us to become successful, not show other
keep it
people
going.
that it can be done. Yeah, because you know, I've got to pass the baton, because that's what's going to keep this. If this country's going to be saved, which I'm not hopeful right now, but if it's going to be saved, it's going to be done on the back of entrepreneurs and people that want to hustle and want to make it better. That's
always
what's
how
going
it
to be
gets
done.
better. So, all right, stay
Exactly.
tuned. We should have guests each of the next 2 weeks. One of these we'll talk about the deal we're doing now. and hopefully we'll be able to share a lot of good information on it. A lot of shit that I messed up, I learned, I did wrong, stuff I did right, stuff we did good and bad. So a lot of good real estate information coming. And until then, we'll see you guys next week. Hit Corey at CJ Anderson 71. I'm at AntPalm8 on Twitter. And what's the show's handle? At TweetBAP.
Yes.
And you can find this episode beyondaveragepodcast.com/012. And show us a little bit of love. Leave a rating on iTunes. If you have iTunes, take 3 seconds. Open it up. Give us 5 stars and a nice comment. Share it on Facebook. Help us out, please. Much appreciated.
Please.
So
much obliged. Guess
Until
that's
next
it,
week.
Ant. Oh,
Yeah.
and one more thing, we got to get over to that flotation tank. I haven't done it in quite a few months, so it's we got to get in there.
We'll be sure to do
The
that and
flotation
report back. Yep.
Absolutely.
All right.
All right,
See you
guys.
next week.
Thanks a lot.